Imagine you're driving your car down the highway on a beautiful sunny afternoon. The music is playing, the windows are down, and you feel perfectly fine. But suddenly, a small orange light flickers on your dashboard. It is the check engine light. You know that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. You glance at the gauges. The car is still moving. The steering wheel feels steady. The brakes are responsive. You think to yourself, it's probably just a sensor glitch. I can definitely make it another 10 miles, maybe even 100. The car's running, so how bad can it be? But you know exactly what happens if you ignore that light for too long. Deep inside the machinery, where you cannot see, oil is burning off. Metal is grinding against metal, creating microscopic shavings. The heat is building to a critical level. The damage is compounding with every single mile you drive. Eventually, the engine seizes. The damage becomes catastrophic. You're left stranded on the side of the road with smoke pouring out of the hood, facing a repair bill that costs more than the car is worth. That tingling in your toes, that strange burning sensation in the soles of your feet, or the feeling of ants crawling on your skin when nothing is there, that is your body's check engine light. And right now, it is not just flickering, it is flashing red. Most people brush this off. They tell themselves it's just bad circulation because their hands are cold. They blame it on the winter weather. Or, most tragically, they simply accept it as a normal part of getting older. They think, well, I'm over 60 now. I suppose things just start to hurt. This is just my new normal. That is a dangerous, devastating lie. It is not a circulation problem. It is not a normal part of aging. It is a starvation problem. Your nerves are screaming in pain because they are literally starving to death. If you wait until you trip over a rug because you couldn't feel the texture of the floor, you have waited too long. If you wait until you drop a precious coffee mug because your fingers went numb and couldn't grip the handle, you are already in the danger zone. By that point, the damage is often permanent. We are talking about the insulation on your body's electrical wires stripping away, leaving the raw, sensitive nerves exposed to the chemical elements of your body. If you feel heaviness in your legs, like you're wading through mud, a burning sensation that feels like a sunburn on the inside of your skin, or pins and needles that wake you up at 3 a.m., do not click away. We are going to fix the root cause right now, before the engine fails completely. And here's the promise. There is one specific toxic mistake hidden in the fine print of your vitamin bottle that 90% of people make. Even if you're trying to do the right thing, you might be poisoning your recovery. I will reveal exactly which complicated word to look for on your label, but first we have to understand the machinery. Try. Pinch the skin on the top of your big toe, lightly, just enough to feel pressure. Now pinch the skin on the back of your hand with the same force. Compare the sensation. If the toe feels duller, thicker, like there's a piece of cotton between your finger and your skin, pay close attention to every word that follows. To understand what is happening to you, you have to visualize the architecture of your body, specifically the sciatic nerve. This is the largest single nerve in the human body. It runs from your lower back, down through your hips, down the back of the leg, and branches out into your toes. Think of this nerve as a thick, heavy-duty copper wire, about the width of your thumb. In your house, every electrical wire is wrapped in a protective plastic or rubber coating. If you look at the cord for your toaster or your lamp, you don't see the raw copper. You see the rubber insulation. That coating ensures the electricity flows fast, smooth, and straight to the light bulb without leaking out. It keeps the power contained and directed. Your nerves work the exact same way. They have a protective coating called myelin. Myelin is a fatty white substance that wraps around your nerves like electrical tape wraps around a wire. It is built in layers like an onion. When that myelin sheath is thick and healthy, the signal from your brain to your foot moves at incredible speeds, over 200 miles per hour. It is instantaneous. You think wiggle toe, and it happens before you can even finish the thought. You step on a sharp pebble, and your brain screams, lift your foot within a fraction of a second, preventing a cut. But vitamin B12 is the factory worker responsible for building and repairing that plastic coating. It is the foreman of the maintenance crew. If you run out of B12, the factory shuts down, the workers go home, the repairs stop. Over time, due to friction and age, that protective coating gets thin. It starts to fray. Eventually, it wears off completely in spots, leaving gaps. Now you have raw copper wire exposed inside your leg. The electrical signal short circuits. It sparks. That is the zap you feel. That is the burning. It is literally a biological short circuit happening inside your tissue. When the insulation is gone, the signal also slows down dramatically. Instead of a high-speed fiber optic connection moving at 200 miles per hour, you are on a slow dial-up connection moving at 5 miles per hour. You tell your foot to move, and there is a microsecond delay. That delay is why you stumble. That delay is why your balance feels off. Your brain is operating on a time lag. But here's the scary part. You might be trying to fix this already. You might be taking a standard multivitamin every single morning. You might be eating red meat 3 times a week, and yet you are seeing absolutely zero results. In fact, you might be making your liver work harder for nothing. There is a specific reason for this, an absorption trap that catches millions of people over the age of 55. Visualize a frayed phone charger cable, the kind where you have to wiggle it just right to get it to charge your phone. That is exactly what is happening inside your leg right now. The connection is loose. We have to look at your stomach. This is the gatekeeper of your health. You could eat a beautiful, expensive steak dinner every single night. You could eat clams and liver and organic eggs until you're stuffed, and you could still be dangerously deficient in vitamin B12. It sounds impossible, but it happens to millions of people. It is incredibly frustrating to think you are eating right, spending money on good food, but your body is failing you. Here's the trap. Vitamin B12 in food is bound tightly to the protein. It is glued there. To rip it loose so your body can use it, you need 2 things, an enzyme called pepsin and very strong stomach acid, hydrochloric acid. You need a highly acidic environment, like a vat of battery acid, to break that bond. But as we age, our stomach acid levels naturally drop. It is just part of the human life cycle, a condition called hypochlorhydria. By the time you are 60, your acid production is significantly lower, sometimes 50% lower than it was when you were 20. If you have weak acid, you can chew that steak all you want, but the B12 stays locked in the food. It travels all the way through your digestive system and leaves your body without ever helping your nerves. It is a cruel irony. You finally have the time and money to eat well, but your body loses the ability to extract the nutrients from that food. And here's the kicker, and this is where so many people get into serious trouble. If you suffer from heartburn, acid reflux, or GERD, and you take antacids or acid-blocking pills like proton pump inhibitors, you are essentially padlocking the door to the B12 factory. Think about what those pills do. They neutralize acid. They suppress it. That's their job. They stop the burning in your chest, which feels great and allows you to sleep. But by neutralizing the acid, you are removing the very tool you need to extract the vitamin. You are swallowing the nutrient, but it is passing right through you like a ghost. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that people who took these acid-suppressing medications for more than 2 years had a 65% higher risk of developing B12 deficiency. You are trading heartburn for nerve damage, and nobody told you the cost. This doesn't mean you should suffer from reflux. Acid damage to the esophagus is real, but it means you must be aware that your medication is stealing your nutrients. If you take heartburn meds, look at the warning label for nutrient absorption risks. It is often in tiny print, but it is there. Drop a comment below. Do you take antacids or acid blockers regularly? Put yes or no. I want to see how common this is among our community. This next point is critical. Even if you aren't diabetic, listen closely because someone you love definitely is, and this information could save their mobility. If you are taking Metformin to manage diabetes or prediabetes, you need to pay attention. Metformin is a lifesaver. It protects your kidneys, it manages your glucose, and it extends lives. I'm not telling you to stop taking it. That is a conversation for your doctor. But you must know the hidden cost. Metformin is a known fief of vitamin B12. It works by changing how your body processes sugar, but as a side effect, it blocks a specific absorption mechanism in the lower intestine, specifically in the area called the ileum. Imagine a doorway in your gut that is specifically designed to let B12 enter your bloodstream. This doorway requires calcium to open. Metformin changes the calcium balance in that area, effectively slamming the door shut. Studies have shown that up to 30% of long-term metformin users have a significantly higher risk of developing neuropathy. The tragedy is that many doctors see a diabetic patient with foot pain and assume it is diabetic neuropathy caused by high blood sugar. They think the disease is progressing, but in many cases, it is actually metformin-induced deficiency. It is the medicine, not the disease, causing the pins and needles. You might be treating the sugar perfectly, but starving the nerve in the process. This is a heartbreaking mix-up because it is so easily fixed, yet so often missed. If you are on metformin, the standard advice to eat a balanced diet is not enough. You are fighting a chemical blockade. Check your medication list today. If metformin is on it, you are automatically in the high-risk group for this deficiency. So you feel the tingling, you go to the doctor and you ask for a blood test. You do the responsible thing. A few days later, they call you and say, "Good news, your B12 levels are normal." You hang up the phone, relieved, but then you stand up and your feet still burn. You still feel wobbly. You think, if the blood test is normal, maybe I'm just imagining this. Maybe it really is just aging. The standard blood test is lying to you. Most standard labs measure total vitamin B12 in your blood. This is a bucket that includes everything. It includes the active B12 that your body can use, but it also includes inactive analogs. These are molecules that look like B12, but they are useless. They are imposters. It is like looking at a bank account balance that says you have $1 million. You feel rich, but you fail to notice that the funds are frozen and you can't buy groceries. You are rich on paper, but your cells are broke. Your blood is full of B12, but your nerves are starving because they can't use it. Furthermore, the normal range in many countries is set too low. In Japan, for example, the lower limit for B12 is much higher than in the US or UK. A level of 250 picograms per milliliter might be considered normal by your lab, but many neurologists believe that anything under 500 picograms per milliliter can cause neurological symptoms. You can be in the normal range and still be deteriorating. You need to stop accepting the standard test results if you have symptoms. You need to ask your doctor for a specific, different test called MMA, or methylmalonic acid. Here's why. When your cells don't have enough B12, a waste product called methylmalonic acid starts to pile up. It accumulates because the B12 isn't there to process it. The MMA test measures that waste product. If your MMA levels are high, it means your B12 is low, no matter what the other chart says. It is a functional test. It tells you what is happening inside the cell, not just what is floating in the blood. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. Another test to consider is homocysteine. B12 is required to recycle homocysteine. If B12 is low, homocysteine rises. High homocysteine is toxic to your arteries and your brain. It's linked to heart disease and dementia. So this deficiency hits you in the nerves, the heart, and the brain simultaneously. Try write down MMA test and homocysteine on a sticky note and put it in your wallet for your next appointment. Do not rely on your memory. Let's prove the connection right now with a simple physical test. We are going to check your position sense, or proprioception. Your nerves are supposed to tell your brain exactly where your feet are in space, even if you aren't looking at them. This is how you walk in a dark room without falling over. When B12 levels crash and the myelin strips away, this signal gets fuzzy. Your brain loses track of your feet. Safety first, please stand near a wall or have a sturdy chair directly in front of you. If you have balance issues or feel dizzy, do not do this alone. Just imagine it or do it with a partner. Here is the test, called the Romberg test. Number 1. Stand with your feet completely together, ankles touching. 2. Cross your arms over your chest. 3. Find your balance with your eyes open. 4. Once you are steady, close your eyes. Pay attention to what happens in the first 3 seconds. If you immediately start swaying, wobbling, or feel like you are going to fall backward, open your eyes and grab the chair immediately. That sway is a positive Romberg sign. It means your eyes were doing all the work. Your vision was compensating for your damaged nerves. Once you closed your eyes, you removed the visual crutch, and your brain had no idea where the floor was because the nerves in your ankles stopped reporting in. That is a major warning sign of B12 deficiency affecting the spinal cord columns. It is not just clumsiness, it is a neurological gap. It means the sensory data from your legs is not reaching your brain. Try. Practice standing on one leg while holding a counter, eyes open, to retrain those nerves. It forces the signal to travel faster. Hit subscribe if you want more simple home tests like this that you can do in your living room to monitor your health. Now, let's talk about food. You hear a lot of advice saying, just eat a balanced diet, eat your greens. You have been told to eat your greens, and while spinach is great for Popeye and almonds are full of good fats, they are useless for your nerve pain. To fix the insulation on your wires, you need something the garden cannot give you. There is virtually zero vitamin B12 in plants. It is not found in spinach, kale, broccoli, or beans. It is not in nuts or seeds. The bacteria that create B12 live in the gut of animals or in the soil, but modern washing processes remove the soil, and plants themselves do not synthesize it. If you see B12 listed on a package of nutritional yeast or cereal, it is because they sprayed synthetic vitamins onto it in a factory. It didn't grow there naturally. This is why long-term vegetarians and vegans are at extreme risk. If you have not eaten meat or dairy in 5 years and you aren't supplementing, you are almost certainly deficient. Your liver stores a supply of B12 that can last for 3 to 5 years, but once that tank runs dry, the crash is sudden and severe. If you want the absolute king of nerve repair, you need to look at clams. It sounds random, but clams are the most B12-dense food on the planet. One small serving, about 3 ounces, gives you days, even weeks' worth of supply. They are a superfood for your nervous system. If you don't like shellfish, the runner-up is beef liver. I know the taste is tough for many. It is an acquired taste, but liver is a nutrient powerhouse. It is nature's multivitamin. A small slice provides massive amounts of B12 along with copper and vitamin A. Eggs, salmon, and beef are good, but the concentration is lower. You have to eat a large quantity to reverse a severe deficiency. For example, you would need to eat several eggs to equal just a few bites of liver. And if you are vegan or vegetarian, you have zero choice. You absolutely must supplement. There is no way to get this from plants naturally. You are fighting a losing battle without help. The math simply does not work. Try. Look for a recipe for clam chowder or liver and onions this week. If you can't stomach them, accept that you will need to rely on the strategy I am about to share next. Remember that secret I promised to reveal about your supplements? The toxic mistake that ruins your progress? Go get your bottle of B12 right now. Walk to the cabinet and get it. Turn it over and look at the Supplement Facts panel. Look at the long chemical name listed next to vitamin B12. If it says cyano, you should probably throw it in the trash. Cyano is a synthetic form of the vitamin. It does not exist in nature. It is made in a lab. The manufacturer creates it by attaching a cyanide molecule to the B12 molecule. Yes, cyanide, like the poison. Now, calm down. It is a tiny, microscopic amount. It is not enough to poison you or kill you. The FDA considers it safe. But think about the biology here. When you swallow that pill, your body cannot use it yet. It has to take that molecule, break the strong chemical bond, strip off the cyanide molecule, and then your liver has to process and excrete that cyanide. Only then can it turn the B12 into the active form that your nerves need. Why do they sell it? Because it is cheap. It is incredibly stable on the shelf. It can sit in a warehouse for years and not spoil. It is great for the manufacturer's profit margin, but it is terrible for your body. It is hard to absorb, and it gives your liver extra work to do. Furthermore, many people have a common genetic variation called MTHFR. It sounds like a bad word, but it is just a gene name. If you have this mutation, and about 40% of people do, your body struggles to convert synthetic vitamins into active ones. Taking cyano, if you have this gene, is like pouring diesel into a gasoline engine. It just clogs the system. You want to look for the word methyl. See the methyl at the start? That means it is pre-activated. It is the form found in nature. It is the form found in your body. When you take methyl, your body doesn't have to do any conversion work. It can take it and immediately start repairing the myelin sheath on your nerves. It crosses the blood-brain barrier easier. It stays in your tissues longer. The price difference between the cheap cyano stuff and the good methyl stuff is usually just pennies, but the difference in absorption is massive. Another excellent form is adenosyl, which is particularly good for the energy production inside your cells. Some high-quality supplements blend methyl and adenosyl forms. That is the gold standard. Try this. Circle the ingredient on your bottle with a red pen. If it's cyano, make a plan to replace it when it runs out. If it's methyl, give yourself a pat on the back. You are ahead of the curve. We still have to solve the stomach acid problem, though, remember? Even if you buy the right methyl type, if you swallow a pill and you have weak stomach acid, or you're on Metformin, you might not absorb it. You're still fighting the gatekeeper. If you swallow a capsule, it has to survive the acid, or lack thereof, find the intrinsic factor protein, travel to the small intestine, and hope the receptors are working. That is a long, perilous journey for a vitamin. Here's the trick to bypass your digestion entirely. Do not use the pills you swallow with water. You need a sublingual supplement. This comes as a tiny lozenge that dissolves or as liquid drops. You place it under your tongue and you hold it there. You do not chew it. You do not swallow it immediately. The area under your tongue is rich in capillaries and blood vessels. It is a direct highway to your bloodstream. By letting it dissolve for 30 to 60 seconds, The B12 absorbs directly into the blood through the mucous membranes, skipping the hostile environment of your stomach. It skips the acid problem, it skips the intestine problem, it skips the metformin blockade. It goes straight to the nerves. This is the secret weapon for anyone over 60. It ensures that what you buy actually ends up where it is needed. Even if you have terrible digestion, this method works because it relies on diffusion, not digestion. Try. Place a sublingual tab under your tongue and time it for 30 seconds before swallowing. It might feel like a long time, but it is worth it. Nerves heal, but they heal slowly. This is not like taking an aspirin for a headache where the pain is gone in 20 minutes. Rebuilding the insulation on your wiring takes time. Nerves regenerate at a speed of about 1 millimeter per day. That is about 1 inch per month. If your nerve damage is in your feet and the nerve root is in your back, you have a long distance to cover. It is a construction project, not a magic trick. If you switch to Methyl B12 and use the sublingual method, you are stopping the damage today. You are putting out the fire. But give it 3 months to see the rebuilding. Slowly, the burning cools down. The balance gets a little sharper. The ants stop crawling. You might notice you sleep better because your legs aren't twitching. You might feel the texture of the carpet again. You might find that your brain fog lifts because remember, B12 protects the brain just as much as the feet. Do not accept numbness as a normal part of aging. It is just a missing brick in the wall. You have the tools to fix it now. Check your labels, check your meds, stay safe, and keep moving. Try. Mark a date on your calendar 90 days from now to reassess your symptoms. Rate your pain from 1 to 10 today and write it down. Compare it in 3 months. You will be surprised. Check out our other great video about vitamin B12 and your legs, the pins and needles connection you missed. Tap the card on your screen right now to keep learning.